Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-hosts Glenn Martin and DK in the background. We are still here, still kicking, ready for the divisional matchup, of course, the one everyone's been talking about all week, the one that we have to wait till the last game of the weekend. That is our Baltimore Ravens versus the Buffalo Bilskis. And we're going to talk about that tonight, get y'all prepared for it, give you the preview, give you the breakdown. We know everybody else is giving their best effort to do so, but we like to believe we add a little bit of uniqueness and a little bit of different angles here to this game and analysis. But before we do, Glenn, BetOnline has been with us all season. What do they got going on at this point of the year?
Well, currently they continue to be the world's most trusted betting platform. I don't even need to say that, but they are also your number one source for online betting in the new year. Whether you're a seasoned fan or first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NFL football, NBA, college basketball to NHL and UFC. BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers and hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. And we talked about earlier in our Tuesday show that the early line was set at 1. Ravens favored by 1 in this game. It's only moved a little bit more in their directions, Jimbo. Currently, Ravens 1.5-point favorites again on the road in a game. It's going to be chilly, Jimbo. 12 degrees with a negative 2-degree wind chill factor. It's going to be chilly, Jimbo.
Yeah, going to be cold. That is for sure. But, man, I'm so excited about this game. Really looking forward to it. Really anxious about it. Going to be anxious all weekend thinking about it. But before we get into our breakdown, you guys know we get into health. We break down the offensive defensive matchups on both sides of the ball. There's just a few things I want to get off my chest real quick, Glenn, because I don't want to wait very long to do so. Been waiting all day.
Okay.
The time's finally here. All right. So number one, is it just me? Tell me, Glenn. If it's just me, you can say it. Or does everyone I hear keep saying things like, I don't know, man, it just feels like the Bills' year? Like, dude, if I hear that again, I swear I'm going to snatch somebody's neck through the television. Like, what does that even mean? Why do we need to put that in the air? Like, why does that need to be talked? This feels like the Bills' year. Like, you do analysis for a living. You make tons of money to talk on television. Do you have anything better to say than feels like the Bills' year? Like, what are we doing here? This is stupid. Pisses me off.
I think it feels like the Ravens' year, so I don't.
Thank you. Me too. But like, I just don't. And then this is the other piece I gotta say. I feel like and I think this will help us, but I feel like two things. We're going to get into the break press. All the Bills fans keep talking about, sorry, I'm going way on a rant here, but they keep talking about how last game didn't matter. Last game didn't matter. They weren't healthy, this, that, and the other. I just want to say one thing, Glenn. You name one guy on that team that's a two-gapper. One guy. They don't have one. Don't sit here and tell me last
Jimmy,
game.
Quit ranting. We got to get into the daggone thing.
Wait.
Compare the two matchups.
Okay, but this is my last thing. Okay.
All right.
Wait. See, Glenn, you broke the inspiration.
Well, I mean, you're what are you doing here, Jimbo?
I've been holding it in for so long.
Well, then, okay. Well, all right. Get it off your chest.
I can't remember the last thing now, but I'm sure I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I do. You know what? I will save the last thing because it fits into my X factor offensively. I'll talk about it.
Okay. All right.
Go.
All right. Well, I hope the DK was able to find the injury report because if I was struggling, I can see the Bills. I already know what it is, but I'd like to throw it up on the screen at least. But I'm having some issues finding it. But here's the good thing about the Ravens: all members of the Ravens were practicing, aside from one.
Yeah.
Aside from one, here it is now. Thank you, DK. Quick, man, he was fast. The one guy not practicing, and it's not a surprise, but Zay Flowers continues to miss practice due to the knee injury he suffered in the last week of the regular season. Deontay Hardy back as a full participant. We'll wait and see what that means, if he's even going to be a game day participant. But I guess as injury reports go, Jimbo, we have to be happy to some degree that it's really a list of one. But how are you feeling? Do you think there's any chance with John saying that he can play without practice? Do you think there's any chance we see Zay this weekend?
No. I hate it. But no, he's not going to play.
No.
So frustrating, man.
No. It's just like, dang, man. Not. It's a shame. It's a shame. Not to say we can't. Obviously, can't. We still feel confident and can win the game, but it's certainly going to be impactful. And I just hope, like heck, we can get this guy back for when we need him the most going forward. But got to get back to practice, I think, before we see him on game day. So let's hope he can get back out there next week. And as far as the Bills go, I think the only one that's really of much consequence is the potential of Ray Davis. He has the concussion. He's been a limited participant. I'm not sure if I saw that he was ruled out or he's just questionable. But I think he's the only one that's a risk of missing for them. So they're incredibly healthy as well, Jimmy.
Yeah, good for them. I want to talk zero about the Bills right now.
Well, we can talk bad about them.
Yeah, freaking pissed off at the Bills.
We can certainly bash them. But
I just can't get over the text message that you sent me.
What'd I send you?
No, the images, dude.
Oh, yeah. That'll get you fired up.
Dude. Anyway.
That'll get you fired up. Bills Mafia has some reckless members. We'll put it that way. But look, every fan base, I'm sure, has jerks, but those are some tough images that they were putting in about our quarterback. But look, I wanted to quickly dive into the first matchup. Even though things have changed a lot since week 4, I think it does provide some context. It is still the same two teams, albeit with some different personnel due to injury. But still, I think it has some relevance. So in their first matchup, as you can see at the top of the screen, the Ravens win the game 35-10. The game was at home in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson had a fantastic game, 13 of 18, 156, 2 tutties. Josh Allen held under wraps. Not a good completion percentage, only 180 yards, no touchdowns through the air. And then the same can be said on the ground. I mean, it's a good run team. It's a team. By the way, Jimbo, just to give a little bit of context, this is the only team, the Bills offense is the only offense in history, I heard, to have 30 touchdowns through the air and 30 touchdowns on the ground in a single season. That's something. It's definitely a team that can do it, in both ways.
A team that's, they run the AFC East. Good for them.
It certainly benefited by that.
They're like the super senior in gym class. Whoop-de-doo, dude. You hit puberty no one else has yet. Like, you beat up all the kids because you're 18 and 8th grade.
Fired up. My man is fired up right now.
It's most likely, you know what? I'm not going to spill any propaganda on this show. I'm not going to sink down to the Bills level. But good job for being 16 in 8th grade.
But James Cook did absolutely nothing in the first matchup, 9 for 39, where Derrick Henry, 24 for 199, of course, had the 87-yard touchdown run to start the game, which certainly changed things. Justice Hill, leading receiver on the day, 6 catches, doubling up the second leading receiver, which was the other running back, Derrick Henry. Both got in the end zone through the air. And then for them, Shakir had the 152-yard play. Outside of that, 3 catches for 10 yards was all he could muster, but did have that 52-yard chunk play. Now, the big story for them on defense was Dorian Williams was only in the game as a replacement for their leading tackler, who is now back in the game, Bernard, as well as Matt Milano, their second leading tackler, and probably their best. Man,
Camp chair himself.
Yeah, well, he definitely got folded up once, but he is definitely their best cover linebacker, and he's a hell of a player. He's their communicator, the green dot, and he's a really good player. And then Taron Johnson also missed that game, who's their nickel and considered one of the very best nickel corners in the game. So they have some guys coming back, key guys, I will say, but it wasn't close in the first matchup.
No, and that's exactly my point, Glenn. I'm sure those guys are contributors and they're great. When
Does it matter that
right. When you're playing a 40,000-year-old Aaron Rodgers who doesn't give a dang anymore, those players make a difference. Good for you. But when you got, what is Milano and what's his name again? The nickel?
Taron Johnson.
What's he going to do when Patrick Ricard is in his face? What's he going to do when we throw an extra tackle and Patrick Ricard and Charlie Kohler? Oh, and by the way, our back is bigger than you. And you're a linebacker. What are you going to do? Like, don't spew this stupidity that the last game did you go sign a Michael Pierce and Travis Jones? I don't see it anywhere, Glenn. Where's the cavalry?
It's not coming.
Dude, what are we talking about here? Ugh.
And let's not forget too, there's just quite a few changes on Baltimore's side as well. We really only talked about the changes is for the Bills, but this was of course when the Ravens weren't playing good on defense. Still had Marcus Williams getting every snap on the back end. Ardarius is still warming the bench at this point. We know the impact that he's made since coming in. So yeah, it's going to be a different matchup, but I'm excited to get into it. I cannot wait for this game. Look, everyone knows, the schedule makers know, every NFL analyst know, this is the game everyone cares about. The other games are nothing more than appetizers or previews for the main course, the main matchup, Ravens versus Bills. Let's get into it, Jimbo.
So I just got to say one more thing. Here we go. Look. I just see an image. It's Shakir catching a punt in the snow. They've been practicing all week. They decided to go outside one day, and they're like, meanwhile, Baltimore's practicing inside. Bro, you guys do it all week. Like, what do you – I can't, Glenn. I'm sorry that I'm screaming, but I just can't. All right. JP Bug says Buffalo has zero back seven players over 230. Thank you, Bugs. Thank you. I mean, yeah. To your point. And then let's get to this next one, then we'll get into the matchup, DK. Don C, aside from this being the Bills' year, according to the most, chill Jimmy, I still think we beat their backside of the Bills. Turn the back porch red, like Glenn likes to say. I think that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Don. I'm just tired of all this stupidity. All right, so Glenn, let's do this rundown. We're gonna talk about the Ravens offense versus the Bills' vaunted nasty physical defense that they have over there in Buffalo. So why don't you start off with our offense, dude?
You want to hear about? Look, we know that the Ravens offense has been good all year. I know. Let me pull it up here. They finished the league third in points per game at 30, just over 30. I think this is the first time, by the way, or it's one of the first times that two teams averaging over 30 points have faced off against each other. But yeah, the Ravens third, just behind the Bills, of course, at 30.3 points per game. Yards, however, they are first at 427. Yards per play, 6.8 remains number one. Another parallel here. Both of the top two scoring red zone teams. Number one at 74.2%, as well as being the Ravens also good on third down, 49.5%. That's number two in the league. They're number one in yards per carry on the ground at 5.8. Number one in yards on the ground per game at 193.8. Number one in yards per pass at 8.8. And number 8 in passing yards per game with 233. This is just as about as good of offense as you'll ever see. And they're playing well right now, Jimbo.
Yeah, no, they're definitely playing well. And it seems like the deeper we get into this offseason, the colder things get, the better this offense looks. But look, we know what we did last week. Just like Glenn said, we know who the Ravens are offensively. But let's talk about the matchup that they're going to be going up against. And then we'll name some opportunities the Ravens have to exploit, some concerns we may have, and then some X factors and otherwise. All right, let's talk about this Bills defense.
Yeah.
Ugh, I'm going to vomit. I feel like I just ate the Baconator all over again. Hate that I'm wasting oxygen on this. All right, so the Buffalo Bills give up 20 points a game, 20.8 points a game, so 21. They're 8th in the league. Third down, they are third down percentage. They're 24th in the league, so they're hot garbage on third down, 42% of the time. In the red zone, they're middle of the pack at 56% conversion rate. So more than half the time teams score against them. Let's see here. They are they're 12th in the league. Stop it. They're talking all this trash and they're 12th in the league.
Man, dying over this.
They're so bad against the run, Glenn. And they're like, we got Milano back. Like, what is Milano's 200 pounds soaking, wringing wet with friggin' nickel. What are those things? You know, like the wraps of quarters, like he's going to the laundromat in his socks. What are we talking about here? Is Milano that much better than Patrick Queen? That much better? Is he that much better? He might be better, but is he like
maybe not physically, but mentally?
Sure.
Sorry, Pat.
Fair. So I like how you threw that in just because you.
Sorry, Pat. I don't know if Matt Milano is going to make the same business decisions we've seen Pat making on Sunday.
Yeah, that's fair.
For Saturday.
They're giving up 4.5 yards per rush right now. What's our average offensively, Glenn, in yards per rush? Yards per 5.8. What do we? Oh, goodness gracious. Whew, I'm feeling less nervous about this game. They're 19th in the league. As far as yards per rush surrendered. Passing yards in the air, they give up they're 20th in the league. They give up 221 yards per game in the air. They are also, let's see, a completion percentage, 58%, per pass. Or excuse me, no, I apologize. 68% at 28th in the league. So help me, Glenn. Help me wrap my head around this. Everyone's excited about this Bills defense from not everyone, I guess the Bills Mafia, right? Like, what legs do they have to stand on here? Now, I know these stats are all season. Look, you can say the same about the Ravens. We got some bad stats, and I get it. But I just don't see a cavalry, right? Like, I don't see I just don't see it. Like, is there something I'm missing, I guess is my question to you.
Well, they're a lot better players than those three guys are better than the guys that were ahead of them. But the question is it impactful enough? Because at the same time, having said that they are better, Dorian Williams, who was the replacement for the leading tackler for the Bills, Bernard, had 12 tackles in the game and was the leading tackler in a game that the leading tackler missed. So seems like the leading tackler still did his job and got the most tackles. So that's kind of, it's like, yeah, they were missing their leading tackler, but his replacement had 12 tackles, which is 5 more than the guy in second, who was also the replacement. Rasul Douglas played in replacement of Taron Johnson in a lot of ways in that position. So I don't think those two guys are going to make as big a difference as Bills Mafia is hoping. But I do think Milano is the key, is one of the certainly the keys to the game. If he can play a perfect game, he could be impactful. He could make a difference. But oh man, it's such an ask from this guy. This guy is going to have to be absolutely perfect in every read. So every time, because you got to get a head start to beat these guys to where you're headed. And if you hesitate for a second, you're done. And certainly if you step in the wrong direction, you're absolutely toast. So he's got to be absolutely perfect to make a difference. So I guess in theory, he could play perfect and could make a difference, but it's a lot on the shoulders of, I think, Matt Milano.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's also.
But let's get into some other guys, Jimbo, because they got other guys. Can we talk about some of the guys that are good on their team? Can we do that?
You can do that.
All right, let me tell you, because they do got some guys. I think Christian Benford on the outside is a good cornerback. I think him on Bateman is going to be a fun matchup to watch.
Yeah,
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think Benford's a bad player at all. And without Zay, I'm sure he'll be guarding Bateman.
Right.
And that's not easy. DeMar Hamlin's a good tackle, but he's just way too small. I don't think it's a good matchup for him at all in this game. Greg Rousseau is a good pass rusher. He's a talented pass rusher. He has a high motor. He's really good against the run and the pass. So in that regard, he's a pretty talented guy and a guy you got to deal with. The same with AJ Epinesa. I think he's a good player against both. More of a run guy than a pass guy. Gilliam is the guy I think is the detail. No, not Gilliam. Who is there? They do got. Oh yeah, they got the old head. They got your boy Von Miller. Who at this point, I'm not sure how many plays he's making, but they got players, Jimbo. They got guys that can scare you a little bit, but it's mainly because they're quicker. They're a faster group.
That's what I'm saying.
They're not big.
Right. And that's my point. Like I was talking to a Broncos fan, and they said, they felt like the reason we lost one of the reasons they lost that game is because they got bullied, right? Like the Bills were much more physical this and there. And I'm thinking in my head, like, you're telling me, like, everything is relative, right?
Yeah.
Because if the Bills are going to come in thinking they're going to rely upon their ability to out physical the Baltimore Ravens, it's just a foolish task. Like, I hope that's not their idea. Because it's just not a good one. They got to have more brain power than that, right?
Yeah, but at some point, it's like, what can they do? I mean, they're going to have to. It's like Myles Garrett. I appreciate Myles Garrett. He's not. It's not easy for opponents to compliment. Especially the rivals. But I mean, Myles Garrett said it. Baltimore, they have to beat themselves because if they play to their game, There ain't no beating them. There ain't no stopping them. You need them to not play well. Tight airbrushing says 22 and 23 personnel are going to bully the Bills. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If the Steelers' top-rated D-line couldn't stop us, the Bills' D-line don't stand a chance. And yeah, and speaking of that, I just want to throw this back up. I put this up on Tuesday because I just thought it was.
This guy's got some fire in his tweets, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He does. Well, he's got quite a following. This guy knows what he's talking about. But last week against the Steelers, the Ravens went multiple backs or tight ends on 89% of their snaps. This season, the Bills used their base personnel just 3.6% of their snaps. So 80, I believe it was 80% of all their defensive snaps were in the nickel, Jimbo. That means three corners, two safeties, two linebackers, 4 D linemen. That's too small to handle this because even their linebackers are undersized. So it's like you're going to do something that's completely out of character, and that's what they did in the first matchup. So let me just hit back here. You can see in the first matchup, they did go out of character. They went a team that only uses base 3% of the time went to base 24.6% of snaps. And what was the result, Jimbo? 247 yards on the ground for the Ravens, because you can't just all of a sudden turn into a physical team. You can't just all of a sudden go, all right, we'll take one of our smaller guys and we'll bring another D lineman and that's just going to fix everything. No, hell no. You can't take something you haven't done all year and then expect to use that in the playoffs effectively. It's too big of a leap, in my opinion. So even if they do decide to counter, like you said, okay, we got to counter for that. 15 snaps last week, Jimbo. We used 6 offensive linemen with Josh Jones at the end and absolutely smashed a team that knew we were running it and couldn't do a gosh darn thing about it. And like you said, that's a whole heck of a lot better Steelers defense than what we're facing in the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, you're spitting facts, right, Glenn? I mean, ultimately, styles make fights and provide teams with advantages and disadvantages. And I understand it's everyone's job to highlight the advantages of their team, but man, I don't know how much more objective you could get about this game. As far as like, just break it down this way and what is the plan? So to me, the concern, the threat that I see is sloppy like penalties on the offensive line, pre-snap penalties. I see that as a concern. I also see every game turnovers as a concern, right? But like uncharacteristic turnovers from like a Derrick Henry or something like that could be concerning. But to be honest, I know you talked about it, you ranted about it for sure in the previous show earlier today, but like where's Monk's head? Mm-hmm. And does he get cute here? You know, now it behooves him, Glenn, for his opportunity to get a job. I believe the deeper he goes in the playoffs,
certainly,
the better it looks for him. Right. And it would look real bad to have a situation where you leave everything that your team has, as far as like you abandon everything your team has done and try and get cute and lose and then show up for a job interview the next day.
Yeah. Not good.
That would be a tough look, right? Like, because what's the first question coming out of the GM's mouth? What just happened?
Yeah. Well, they should be saying sorry that just happened. That's what they should be saying to Monken, because the reason his head is elsewhere is because he's got to study the damn roster. He's got to study the cap numbers. He's got to study the gaps in the roster and say, all right, here's my plan for your team. Here's my plan for your roster. If it's Jacksonville, here's my plan for Trevor Lawrence. If it's Chicago, here's my plan for Caleb Williams. He's got to not only prepare for an interview and know every question you're going to ask, he also has to do a deep dive into each of their rosters. That's 2 separate rosters he has to dive into and prepare for. Because I know you, Jimbo, you're not going to an interview not prepared. And I got a hard time believing the Todd Monken's any less. So his head better be where it needs to be, but I got a hard time believing that he's not at all distracted by these outside, influences. BS, Jimbo.
Yeah, it is. It is. Seeking King of the Seas says Sal's girlfriend is a man. I took his mom out to a nice dinner and left her with the check after leaving to powder my nose. I guess clowns raise clowns. I didn't understand any of that.
I think that there was somebody in the chat named Sal, and I think this is just a direct insult to that person named Sal. I believe there was a Bills fan named Sal earlier in the show. Got my man C King fired up, bro. By the way, I saw him earlier. He's pulling a line out of the water boy, Jimbo. First of all, he thought you were drinking moonshine till Don C corrected him. That's that pure H2O.
That's
and
right,
then he
baby.
said, Gatorade. He hits you with a Gatorade, bro. Come on.
Gatorade's only on race day, baby. Then give me all the Gatorade.
That's right. Pure H2O, baby. Water is the best unless you're absolutely sprinting. But, yeah, I mean, as far as – look, Jimbo, you said it. We're going to come out. We're going to hit them in the mouth. I know you're going to give your matchup, your play of the game. Actually, go ahead. Tell me who your key matchup is on our offense going against their defense.
Yeah, so to me, look, so this was my other bone to pick with the media coverage of this, right? Everyone's talking about we're going to pound the rock, pound the rock. And we're going to do that. I firmly believe that. But it's not just – that's not our only option, right? I want that to be our primary option, but that's not the only way that we win this game. The reason that we're able to pound the rock is not just because we got big bodies, not just because we got Derrick Henry, not just because we got Lamar Jackson. It's because we still have weapons on the outside. The group that I want to focus on here is the tight ends. Last week, Isaiah Likely led our teams in receptions, I believe, or at least yards at 53. Yards. Okay, so not receptions, but yards. He had 4 for 53. I know it was yards. I don't know if it was also receptions, but for sure yards. Maybe both. Anyway, he was active is my point in that game. Mark Andrews had big catches, right? Charlie Kohler, we know how he contributes. So to me, I think it's an insult to these guys, and they should take it personally. They're not getting any air. They're not getting any airtime. No one's talking about the ability that we have to still be a matchup conundrum for these defenses from a passing standpoint. Let's not forget that Zay is not the only guy that Lamar Jackson has thrown the ball to and will throw the ball to. Lamar Jackson has no fears about spreading the ball around. In fact, Anthony Miller had 4 targets, right?
Yep.
Or 3 targets, whatever it was. 4
Caught all 3.
In a playoff game, we weren't even 100% sure who that dude was. In fact, I thought it was, who's the kid from Maryland, the safety, because I swear he was number 6 in camp.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening here? I thought it was some sort of wild trick play. So my matchup here is this tight end group against the secondary, against these linebackers, because I truly believe that we are the best group in the league, and it's going to be a serious matchup problem for them. That's how we sting them, right? Like everyone talks about, to me, this offense is a lot like Giannis. Like, how do you stop Giannis? Okay, well, you put 5,000 bodies in the key, and then he only scores 28 points, right?
Yeah.
But the way that Giannis goes off is he hits a couple jumpers, and he opens you up a little bit, he softens you up a little bit, right?
Yep.
That's all it needs to be. And we got real guys out there, Glenn. So they're 29th or 24th in the league on third down. You know where Lamar likes to go on third down. We can sustain those drives, gas those guys, and really start wearing on them with our heavyweights. It's going to be a problem, man. It's going to be a problem. So tight ends versus their secondary / linebackers. That's my matchup to watch. In fact, I'll just keep going. I'm doubling down just like I did last week. My X factor offensively in this game is Isaiah Likely. I think he balls out again. I think he gets in the end zone this time, and he's just an absolute problem for them on defense.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. This is the Ravens offense is the number 1 QBR when targeting tight ends in the league. No surprise the connection Lamar has with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely is pretty obvious, but I think it's a good point that you bring up with their play action. I think it's something that the Ravens used early. Like, they didn't even necessarily wait for the run to set up the play action. They used the threat of the run. They used the size of the gentleman they brought into the game and the fear of the run even before establishing it, and then almost did so later on. If you look at the first drive of the game, I'm sorry here. Let me pull it back up, go up a little bit more. So the first drive of the game was an 87-yard run. So I guess to some degree they certainly established, but only took 1 play to do so. But look what they did to start the next drive and the next 2 touchdown drives. Right away they go to Flowers. Now Lamar gets on the ground. He certainly does his thing, but passes to Justice Hill for 14 yards. A short pass to Derrick Henry for the touchdown, not a run, a short pass. And then you look at their third touchdown. How does it start? A play action deep pass to Isaiah Likely for 26 yards. And then they come back and they try and hit Andrews again. And then, again, pass short to Derrick Henry, pass short to Nelson Aguilar. They use the pass a ton early and often off play action. So to your point, I think that's going to be a huge factor in this game. I think they're absolutely going to be, and Lamar Jackson, one of the most underrated parts of his improvements in throwing is his layered throws over the linebackers or even the safeties, as we saw last week when he got the ball to Bateman in the back of the end zone, where he's got the perfect amount of touch where he can float it right over the outstretched arm of a potential, pass tip from a linebacker or even a safety when they come out or come down and play more intermediate zones. He can float it right over them and puts it right on the money. I mean, it's unbelievable. We saw it with the pass to Isaiah Likely off play action where he jumps skies up and grabs the ball. We saw on the touchdown to Bateman as well. I think that's an excellent point. But Jimbo, the thing that scares me the most is if you look at the teams who've been able to disrupt us offensively and beat us ultimately, they've all had something in common, right? They had disruptors up front. They had, Chris Jones for the Chiefs, Max Crosby for the Raiders, Myles Garrett, and TJ Watt. That's what really typically bothers us. Now, the offensive line has been playing better, so we're encouraged. But Ed Oliver is the guy who scares me. They got pass rushers, sure. But the interior, that's the one that still has me nervous because of our guards. I still view as the weakest part of our offensive line. Even though they've been playing better, there's just no doubt about it. So watch out for Ed Oliver. I think that's a huge key. I couldn't just pick one, Jimbo, because I love Bateman versus Benford matchup. Can't wait to see those guys going at it. I obviously have growing confidence. My confidence for Bateman right now is through the roof. I don't think anyone can guard him, but Benford he's a talented player. There's no doubt about it. But man, I cannot wait to see, can this Bills defense, is it physical enough? Because look, they might dip their toe in the darkness, Jimbo, but the Ravens were born in it. We are made for this type of football. They're just visitors in this type of football.
Yeah, no, you're 1,000% right. I mean, it's like I said, it's cool to be the big boy on the block when your neighborhood is full of softies, right? But look, this is what it is. Glenn will probably resonate with this more than others, but every once in a while, when you grow up playing ball in the neighborhood, there's a new kid that comes around that thinks he's good. And he ends up playing with us in the neighborhood, and by the end of that game, he realizes he's not that good, right? Like he needs to go back home to his cul-de-sac with his mommy and his little buddies that are 4 years younger than him and go beat up on them a little bit, right?
Yep.
Like, don't bring it here. This isn't your brand of ball. Like, don't try and do it. So,
but one thing I will say, Jimbo, that is key. The Bills this year, let me see, plus 24 turnover ratio, number one.
Big time. Yep, number one in the league.
That is huge. So penalties and turnovers is the big issue that I see.
What's ours right now? Do you know?
Oh man, I don't. We're pretty good too, but not damn good.
For sure. But once again, Glenn, I think it's fair. Maybe I'm putting too much. On this, but how much different are their season-long stats? Like, how different would our stats be if we lived in the AFC East? Like, if we played in that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, imagine this offense all year in that division.
No.
Oh my gosh!
They
it would
stink
just
out
been an
loud.
embarrassment for all, right? They get 2 games against the Jets.
I know. Don't forget about the Patriots.
Yeah, and right. That's 4 games. And the Dolphins weren't even real this year.
They were down bad early with the Tua injury.
Right.
I mean, look at. Did you see Tyreek Hill literally quit in the middle of the game?
Yeah.
Did you see the clip where Waddle's like, "Hey, Cheetah, where are you going?" He's like, "I'm done." So yeah, that division is an absolute mess, no doubt about it. But yeah, this is a tough matchup just from the stylistic standpoint. It's a tough matchup for the Bills defense.
Yeah, Seeking Kings of sorry, is it me, DK, or is Glenn froze? Oh, he's back. He's back. All right, you're back. You got me?
Yeah, I got you. Loud and clear.
All right, cool. Seeking King of the Seas. This is Tank Bro Mansky. New name, same old game. Pondered. What's that? I'm still confused.
Tank Bromansky. He's been a frequenter in our chat. He's saying this is his new name.
Okay. All right. Following. Now I'm tracking. Pondered my orb earlier and saw Bills secondary getting embarrassed by our offense. Yeah.
Pondered his orb. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Got the old crystal ball out, right?
Okay. Well, we'll take it.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
It's going to be.
For some reason, I imagine this guy out on a sailboat in the middle of nowhere using a Starlink to watch this show right now.
Oh, that would be dope.
Just in the dark. In the darkness and open sea, dude.
Moving. I've been out there. Dude. It's really to look around. You see nothing. You're completely alone out there in the middle of a very loud ocean.
And now imagine like you're in between continents, right? And you're on a sailboat, no motor.
Oh, dude.
Like the
bro. The rock,
I know you wear an eye patch, I know, but I just have this vision of like. I know. You mentioned that last time. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, but Ed Oliver's on their D line that worries me, and then Milano behind him, Taron Johnson. But man, I can't wait to see our offense go there. I just can't wait because again, we get to see. Look, there's a couple Bills fans in here. And all I'd say is I encourage you stop by after the game. We encourage all opposing fans. We'll be here. Come on by. By. If you got the guts.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Glenn. I'm with you. All right. So should we flip this thing around and talk about our defense versus their?
Oh, yeah. Before we do, though, RVA Ravens fan says the Bills are Jim and the Ravens are the Baconator. F up their system. Let's go. Yeah, buddy.
At first I wasn't, but then, I got you.
Yeah.
That's good. I hope so, man.
Hopefully we'll make them poop down their leg.
Seriously.
Hopefully they'll be throwing away some sweatpants at the end of this one.
Just some yellow bile.
Oh, stop. We don't need any more descriptions.
Like, when your dog doesn't eat and it's just yellow bile to throw up?
Oh, yeah. I don't need any further. I got what you were saying.
Well, look, you made me eat it. Now you got to hear all about it. That's fair.
Man. You know what?
Joshua says playmakers will shine this game. Who has more playmakers?
Oh, who has more playmakers? Well, offensive, I guess they're comparing offense versus offense. I would say the Ravens, but not that the Bills are missing playmate. They have some as well, but I think if you just stack the two teams, you would give the Ravens the advantage in playmakers for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there.
I mean, just ask the national media. That's all, and just ask Bills fans. We have a terrible team around Josh Allen. That's all we have. They're garbage. There's even rumors going around that Bills Mafia went as far as to only vote for Ravens players as to ensure that Josh Allen's case looked most impressive because they didn't want to vote any Pro Bowlers. That way he would look like a one-man army, a guy carrying his team. And so the rumors is that Bills fans stooped so low as to only vote for Ravens fans, which that's a tactic. That's an interesting tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm not worried about a running back at quarterback.
No, he's talking about Lamar.
I know. I think it's hilarious. Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious.
I know this kid. He's a troll. Anderson is a troll.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he thinks Josh Allen is the man. And I don't know if he actually feels that way or if he's just trolling. I believe he's just trolling.
He's got to be just trolling. That's silly.
Jeez, Sal said you won't be there. Quote, you won't be there in the Super Bowl. Sal wasn't there when his daughter married me, left her at the altar and went to a Golden Corral instead.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just
he won't be here. They're never here. We heard the same thing last week.
Sal, first of all, spell here right. I don't know what kind of education you're getting, but you just said I'll be here with, like, you hear things. Here is a location, dude. Like HERE. I ain't that bright, but they done learned me a thing or two here in Baltimore City.
Yo, stupid and a dummy. All right. Let's. Joshua says, "Damn straight. Let's go Ravens." Absolutely. I think it's time we switch sides, right? Did we all give our?
Yeah, let's do it.
Our entire coverage. Man.
Ravens fans.
Hold on.
But they're trying to hype up the most fraudulent MVP in NFL history. This is funny to me, Glenn. I needed this.
Look, they've never won anything. I mean, let them have at least excitement and anticipation because they're not going to win the game. Let them have a little excitement, okay? They've won absolutely nothing. It was a city ever. Like ever. The Ravens have been around for what? Not even 30 years. They have 2 chips. I mean, Buffalo, it's the new factory of sadness. I mean, they're just they get your hopes up and they just let you down as always. But my X factor is Justice Hill. He had a big game last week with that improvised touchdown with Lamar just before halftime to put him up 21-0 and really iced and sealed the game. I think he'll be an impact in this game as well, whether that's from blitz pickup, catching the ball out of the backfield or even running the ball. I think he'll make his presence felt. And while may not get a ton of looks, may not get a ton of carries or targets, I think he'll take most advantage of everything he does get. And I think he gets in the end zone again this week.
I like that. I think he's such an underrated part of this offense, a weapon in this offense. And certainly when things break down, he just does such a good job at knowing where to be, and Lamar knows where to find him. So, yeah, I'm with you there, Glenn. I really like that pick. And I think he continues to be an undervalued and an under-considered part of this offense.
Yeah, buddy. But let's switch sides.
Let's do it.
About the Buffalo Bills offense versus this Ravens defense. I'll start by talking about the Bills offensive ranks, how they performed over the season. They were
a lot of number 2s, right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty good. They got pretty good offense. Number 2 in offense or in points at 30.9. Number 9 in yards per game at 365. Oh, excuse me. They are 7th in third down conversion, 44.7%. They're 2nd in fourth down conversion, 75%. And they're 3rd in red scoring, 68%. So pretty good offensive numbers there. Rushing yards, they are 11th in yards per carry at 4.6. They are 9th in yards per game at 135.5. Passing yards, they're 8th with 7.7 yards per attempt. And they are, 9th in yards per game passing, 229.8. And again, this is the part that I think has really been a big piece of why they've won, how many games they've won. They only have 8 turnovers all season on offense, Jimbo. I mean, you got to give credit where it's due there. 8 total turnovers for an offense that's played 17 games. You got to get, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Stuff, man.
Yeah, and turnovers are certainly a huge indicator of wins and losses in the league.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right there. I think that as about as good of thing, what I can say is that, both quarterbacks have matured as players. It's reflective in their turnovers, I think.
Yeah. They've been conservative with the ball. Not something that Josh Allen can always say. I can tell you that. Am I still choppy?
No, you're doing okay right now.
Okay.
I just can't get over these comments.
Try and close out some of these windows.
But
yeah, I mean,
gosh.
Well, the confidence is always shocking when you already have a matchup to look back on this year where it was 35-10. And by the way, a Buffalo Bills team that, I see Josh Allen's going to do this. Josh Allen's going to do that. Like, did Josh Allen play in that? Because we talked about the missing members on the Bills defense. Who was missing on their offense, Jimbo? That I'm they were healthy on offense in that first matchup, a matchup where Josh Allen barely completed over 50% of his passes and didn't find the end zone.
Yeah.
Like, what are we like? What? Josh Allen stunk out loud against the Ravens. They absolutely destroyed him. They sacked him 3 times. He didn't get in the end zone through the air or through the ground. The only time they found the end zone was a 1-yard touch or a 3-yard touchdown run by Ty Johnson. Shout out to the Terps.
Shout out to the Terps. Got to get that one in.
Guy. I still love that guy, even though he's a Bill now. He's still my guy.
There you go.
Let's see. RVA Raven fan says, X factor is our offensive line versus their D-line. If we can play bully ball, we win. Wreck them. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Big part of this game is the trenches. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Glenn. All right, so let me talk about this Bills. Let me pull up this Bills. Yeah. Or sorry, not the Bills. Excuse me. The Ravens defense. Because you just talked about their offense.
And C-King says it the best. Yeah. Did Josh Allen not play quarterback in the first matchup? It didn't look like him. It looked like Mitchell Trubisky played the whole game. But no, it was in fact Josh Allen. He just stunk up the joint against the worst defense in the league at the time. Oof.
Yeah. So, look, our defense has its bumps and bruises for sure, like speaking objectively. But we are much improved and certainly trending in the right direction from week 11. That being said, from a season-long perspective, we're allowing a hair under 21 points a game. Third down, we're 18th in the league at 40%. And then red zone, we're 13th at 54%. That's where the defense, of course, looks good. Yards per rush on average, we're first in the league at 3.5 is what we allow. And in total yards, 77 per game. I think we were up in the 80s for a little bit. Still number one, but up in the 80s. That number has gone down. And I think that has to do with Michael Pierce was out for a stint.
Yeah.
And Mike has come back, and just having a better rotation there, I think has helped that as well. And just improved tackling. And then in the air, let's see here. Oh, went to the wrong tab. In the air, we're surrendering 244 a game. Obviously, that's not good. Ultimately, that's 30th in the league. We're only 20 yards worse than the Buffalo Bills, who are 20th. 20 yards different. So, not a ton of difference. It's not like one is 120, one is 240, right? It's not like we're doubling them up. So, the Baltimore Ravens defense is much improved. I mean, they showed on the screen we're at the game, Glenn, in all those in a ton of statistical categories. We were one in the league from week 11 to the last week of the league. And I think a lot of that has to do with, we talked about shoring up the back end, health, the maturation of Wiggins. There's a lot of things going on there defensively that are exciting. There we go. Yeah, this is awesome. So the Ravens since weeks 13 through 18, they're number one in scoring defense, total defense, pass defense, third down percentage, red zone defense, and opposer passer rating. Holy crap.
Opponent.
Poser. The poser is our opponent. Our opponent is a poser. Okay. That was a mouthful, but I think our defense, what I'll say is I think they're ready for the task. One of the questions I had, Glenn, is how do you think, I think there's two things that are being under discussed that are advantages to our defense, both the players and the coaching staff. One is, actually, I heard John talk about this. We have a history of playing against a quarterback similar to Josh Allen, and that I think is Ben Roethlisberger in the extended plays. And so schematically, from a coaching perspective, this is not new to John Harbaugh. This is not new to our team as an organization, right? Because we had a lot of years, a lot of battles against Ben. I think that does play in our favor. The other part of this as well is having to defend Lamar Jackson, a quarterback who is highly mobile in practice from the first day of training camp, albeit different, right? Like stylistically, they run differently, but they fall in the same realm in that they both do so well when the play breaks down, playing backyard football, right? Like making the play, not a 4-second play, but a 7, 8, 9-second play. And then, making an incredible throw, doing all these things and then taking off their feet. So the way you have to be disciplined in your lanes, the way you have to tackle when you get an opportunity, the way you have to keep them in front of you and things like that. I do think this is an opportunity for the Ravens defense to take advantage of all the reps they've taken against Lamar Jackson to bring it to this game. Yeah.
And there's no doubt that that's what makes, like, the thing about Josh Allen is he wants to get the ball out quickly. Like he likes to, they like to, they get the ball out quick, to get guys in space and hopefully, create yards after catch opportunities. But the way they complement that, and the thing that scares me and the way they get chunk plays down the field is when they get that guy outside the pocket. That dude, first of all, he's almost only going to go to the right. If you look at how he rolls out, he will occasionally roll left, more likely to scramble when rolling left. But when he rolls to the right, he is an absolute. I mean, I have some numbers here actually, and shout out to Spencer Schultz for this, because he's deadly when he rolls out, man. And look, there's a reason Shakir led the league in yards after catch, because that guy, they get him in space using big chunk plays. He's similar to Lamar in a lot of ways in how he can do things that not many others can do. And as you can see here, when he's pressured, first of all, if you think I know what that means, don't ask me. But I know that the higher the number, the better. Okay. And when this guy's outside the pocket, he gets chunk plays down the field, and he's actually less dangerous, when he's kept inside the pocket from a chunk play standpoint. In fact, what makes him so scary, Jimmy, is that he's doing this typically when he would do this in the past, where he would buy time and try and give his guys time down the field to uncover, it would lead to a lot of turnovers or negative plays. Dude, he has cut down the negative plays like absolutely crazy. First of all, the offense has 8 total turnovers. I mentioned that earlier. He's stacked on only 2.6% of his dropbacks, which is crazy low. He's intercepted on 1.1% of his passing plays, and he's fumbled on 0.8% of his of the times he's had the ball in his hands. So he's just not making negative plays. He's not turning the ball over. They're not getting stopped for a lot of negative plays in the run game either. It's just they just don't do a lot to hurt themselves. They're very efficient, and then they hit those quick hitters, and then when they're not there, he buys time, typically rolls to his right, and then he's looking down the field to get chunk plays.
Or he's taking off.
And we saw the effect of Lamar when he scrambled to the right last week. Pat Queen, all the eyes were on Lamar. They cheat up, and he throws it right over their heads to Isaiah Likely for a huge chunk play. We see it all the time in Baltimore, and I think we're going to see it with the Bills this weekend also.
Yeah, I agree. Don C says, I think the key to the game is to get out in front of Buffalo so we can run the rock. Justice Keaton and the King. Sal, we will be here after the game.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Yeah. No. Yeah, Glenn, I think that's a really good breakdown, and I'm sure this is obviously the conversations that these are the types of conversations that the defense is having. I'll tell you what, I think that for me, the matchup defensively to watch is Rowe and Cook, right? Like Cook did not have a good game last time. He's determined to have a good game this time. Coming off that game against the Broncos, and the Broncos defense, albeit I believe much better in the past, certainly not a ton of slouches over there. And had have a lot of pride in their game, and the way they got ran on, I'm sure something they weren't happy about. But just like every other team, just like the Ravens, the run game is going to stir that cup, right? And so if Roquan can limit the impact of Cook, not only running the ball, but also catching the ball, because he's a back that's used in a number of ways, and make him as small of a factor in this game as possible, I think that makes a big deal, because then what it becomes is it truly becomes the Josh Allen show, right? Like, because then he turns into the runner. He's not trusting his running back anymore. He's trying to do all these things because he has more pressure on him, because the run game is not effective. So I'm excited to watch Rowe and see how he mitigates the impact of Cook, and hope that we do so as a defense as a whole.
Yeah, I think pointing out the fact that they're good pass catchers, they're a big part of what they do as running backs.
Talking about the backs,
Cook and as well as Johnson as well. Yep. I mean, he had a big catch last week at the back of the end zone. They're threats, and especially when Josh Allen is buying time. Tight ends are also good. Kincaid and Knox, both fast, athletic, smart, good football players. Certainly chain movers, I think both of them. We talked about the quarterback and the threat that he has, Shakir. I think that's the big – there's a couple matchups, obviously, that you look at it, man, what Van Noy's responsibility for making sure – because Van Noy is going to be the one who cannot lose contain. We saw it against TJ Watt made that mistake last week. He tries to dart inside. Roger allows him to, and Lamar just takes what he gives him, buys a ton of time by getting out to the right, and gets a huge chunk play. That's what we cannot have. So Kyle Van Noy, I love the fact that that's the guy we have making that play, because he's a smart,
very smart
veteran player. He's not going to he's not going to lose this in the game. Like, he's not going to get caught up in the emotion and forget. No, he's a very smart player. He knows he cannot let Josh Allen, even at the cost potentially of getting, a pressure or a sack.
Sure.
Because you don't want to sell out and let that guy get outside to the right. But I still think the biggest matchup, the matchup I'm most excited, because look, I'm scared to death of Keon Coleman and his back shoulder. I got that down here. That damn Keon Coleman is going to get a back shoulder throw if they see our boy Stevens on him. They're just going to target the guy. There's no doubt about it. Cooper can run, but Cooper can't run anymore. He's a good route runner, but he can't get open. I don't see any speed. The big one, Marlon Humphrey versus Shakir in the slot. That guy is, I mean, you don't lead the league in anything. Like, to lead the league in yak is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
This guy, he can take a short one and make it a very long game. But Marlon absolutely bodied him in the last matchup. He kicks inside like he always does. Physical at the line of scrimmage. He's not fast enough to run away from Marlon. Mm-hmm. So while I say it's a key matchup, I think it favors the Ravens in a big, big way. But it's still key. Cannot let Shakir get off on the Ravens.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm not saying that he's absolutely going to shut this guy down. He's obviously been doing great things all season. But to your point, Glenn, I think that the advantage, the opportunities that Marlon has is he does have the speed. Marlon is a quick guy. I think that's something that people underrate about Marlon's game. But I don't think Marlon gets absolutely toasted by people, right? Like Marlon's a track star and he can move, right?
Sure.
But the other piece of it is that Marlon's, you talked about him being a short tackler. The thing about yak is if the guy makes the catch, I feel good about the proposition of Marlon being the only one there having to bring him down. I wouldn't feel good about everyone, right? But Marlon is a sure and a willing tackler. I think it probably the most willing and short tackler that there is at his position. That's probably one of the reasons why he ended up, being an all-pro player this year, is because he just brings that physicality like you talked about. So that's a great matchup, Glenn. I like that. And that'll be an exciting one to watch for sure.
How scared are you about Stevens, honestly?
Okay, so Stevens is my X factor.
Oh boy. Okay.
He's my X factor because he has to be. He has to be. Stevens has to be the X factor in this game because he shores things up. He's the chink in the armor. I've said it. I'll say it time and time again. Brandon Stevens has played better than this. We've seen it. And I know it's been a while, and he's getting a lot of targets, but I believe he can play better than what he's been playing. And I think that he will in this upcoming game. That I don't know. I don't know what's going to change schematically, right? But I think that he's going to have a good game, man. I think that if you do the right things enough, you end up with a solid outcome. And I think that with effort, preparation, and poise and physical ability, you can only fail so many times, Glenn.
Well, he's certainly going to, I think, have opportunities if the Ravens allow him to go one-on-one. If the Ravens were smart, however, I think in key situations they wouldn't allow that. I don't care what that means for the rest of the coverage, but you roll your coverage to help him because they're going to attack him. And oh man, it scares me because it seems like it's a catch or a pass interference, and that's the only two outcomes when he's targeted. And I do think that they're going to be forced in third and long in a lot of situations. This is too good of a run defense for you to, just get 5 yards, 4 yards, 6. I don't think that's going to case. I think they're going to try unsuccessfully and have to convert a lot of third and longs. And that's where Brandon has to play well. But I will say this, their offensive line, while I think had certainly a very good year, they got good players. They're not the strongest group either. And we talk about how they're kind of small on defense. Well, I think they're vulnerable on the offensive line to bull rush and to power players. And holy smokes, do we have a bunch of power guys on our defensive line? Like I think it's a bad matchup even for a line that I think has played well all year. But they're not that good against big, strong guys. And we have a rotation of big, strong dudes who are just going to throw the offensive lineman into Josh Allen's lap and just say, how are you going to – he's going to have to roll out because of the interior pressure. And if their ends do their job, he's got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I like our chances in this one, Jimbo.
Yeah, no, for sure. The last thing I'll say that keeps coming in my mind in regards to this specific matchup is we've also got – I get nothing more frustrating than on first down, the quick out for 7 yards. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? And because they're trying to extend the running game, and it's not going well, so they do that. We've got to tackle on the outside. We've got to have our corners come up and be physical and just – now Wiggins has done that. Stevens, look, say what you want, but Stevens will tackle, right? Sometimes he'll tackle you too early. You don't have the ball yet, right? But he'll tackle. So anyway, that's definitely going to be important as well. Kings of the Sea says, why didn't Allen win MVP with a top 2 wide receiver when Lamar was throwing to Snead and Bryant? Yeah. But now that Lamar has helped, it discounts his MVP argument. Shake my head. Yeah, it is. Look, man, I don't get what Baltimore did wrong. I don't understand what Lamar Jackson did. What pictures that the Josh Allen has of what high-ranking member of the NFL to, make it so no slander is thrown his way. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. You know what it makes me think of? Remember Kevin Durant in OKC? People always talk about, I liked OKC Kevin, but then we discovered who he was, and I didn't really like him that much anymore. And he just always kind of got a pass. But LeBron was always criticized. I'm not saying that Lamar's LeBron, but I'm just, there was just this two sides of the coin here, right? It just kind of feels that way. I don't understand why Lamar is so overly criticized and why Allen is just hoisted up on a pedestal. I don't get that.
It seems crazy. All the years as Ravens fans, all we heard from the national media and even some fringe Ravens fans is how horrible the organization is putting a team around Lamar. And the moment he gets some weapons, to discredit. They use that to discredit Lamar and his success. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I had to put Sal in timeout. He was just trolling too hard. It was, Tyler, by the way, you won last week. I don't know if you saw the end of our show.
Let's go, baby. Oh, what happened? Oh, I didn't hear anything. Did you, DK? No, I think you were fine. Oh, you could hear it in yours? No. Oh, anyway, Tyler, I'm going to read your super chat and Glenn will get back to it. Tyler Fitty Brooks says, let the king take us home. Lamar can have his day after this week. I'm pseudo on my knees about the blessing Lamar is. But this week, it is time to let the king take us home. Well, it's a joint effort, Tyler. That's the beautiful part about it. I agree with you. Like, Derrick Henry needs to get the ball 20 plus times in this game. But what makes it even more exciting is watching the defense's brains melt about the idea of Derrick or of Lamar keeping it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the most fun part about it.
Yeah, what I love is how they need each other. They both benefit one another. And no matter who's taking it, I trust Lamar is going to make the right decision. Whether he gives it, pulls it out of his chest, and keeps it himself. I think he's been on point thus far, and I think he's going to continue to make the right call. Shout out to Tyler for winning the competition.
Yeah,
and we'll certainly send you out some swag. But let's see here. And Jimmy, you mentioned it last week. I just want to repeat this because I think it's absolutely hilarious. The legend of the game, for the biggest game in recent history for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it just shows you how sad of an organization. I mean, but Ryan Fitzpatrick is the best you got. Like, that's the guy you're calling? A guy who is mediocre? Is
I
there?
Don't get that.
I like Ryan for what he was, which was a mediocre player with an epic beard.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got one big win in his career. He beat Tom Brady, I believe, once. And I don't even know if that was in a Bills uniform. I think that was when he was with Miami. It's
goofy.
It's so goofy. And shout out to Haloti Nato, who was our legend, or one of the legends of the week last week, who was just inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame and is on the ballot for Canton this year. That's the difference, Bills fans.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. We got an all-pro at ours, and you guys got Ryan Big Beard Fitzpatrick. Is he ever, if he made the Pro Bowl, it's because a bunch of guys canceled, and he got in at the end, like Tyler Huntley did. Like, what are we? Oh, the Bills are funny. I just love the confidence of Bills fans when they've done nothing, and they've won nothing.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But that being said, Glenn, speaking of doing nothing, I'm the Bills of our competition right now.
Well, I gotta say one more thing. Darius Washington is my X factor. I think he's.
My bad.
He's gonna have a big time hit when Josh Allen underestimates and he sees this little guy screaming at him. He's gonna think he can just run this guy over. He's gonna hit you in the hip, flip your ass over on your head, Josh Allen. Darius Washington makes a big play yet again in this one.
I love it.
And then hold on, Jimbo. We can't go to the competition until we talk about the refs. I gotta throw up the refs, dude. What are you? I mean, you got to tell me if you're worried about this crew, Mr. Sheffers. I don't like his name. I don't know if it's Sheffers or Sheffers.
This makes me worried. I'm gonna read this one, Glenn. If
Please
that's cool.
Please.
It says no crew is calling a lower percentage of their overall penalties on the home team than Carl Sheffers in 2024. The NFL preferred, and so that's one piece of it. I'm going to read it all, and then we'll kind of rehash. The NFL prefers to mix up the officiating crews in the playoffs, but that's not the case for this game. The league has opted or chosen for a predominantly Cheffers crew with just one addition, a piece from the Adrian Hill, Brad Rogers crew. That's the total opposite from the three crews makeup this weekend. Let's see. Since 2016, home teams are 90 of 57, 61%. Cheffers including 11 and 5 in 2024. Home underdogs like the Bills currently have a 24 win to 14 loss, a 64% win record. Cheffers over that time. The Buffalo Bills and the Josh Allen era are 8-2 with Cheffers, including their 17-3 divisional round win over Baltimore in 2021. The Buffalo Bills ranked number 1 for false starts. Cheffers ranks last calling false start penalties. Awesome. They're all important. The all-important false start offensive line holding combination accounted for just 33% of Cheffers penalties. The league average is 39%. The combination of defensive pass interference, defensive holding accounted for above average 22% of Cheffers penalties. League average 13%. That's insane. The back end patrolling the field is 2 Cheffers regulars with an addition from Brad Rogers' crew.
Oh, God.
Rogers' crew, of course, ranked number 1 in defensive pass interference 2024. Defensive pass interference penalties were down significantly in the wild card action, so we'll see if that continues on Sunday in this game. Now, the Ravens are above average. Holy crap. How long is this thing?
You didn't realize how long this was, and neither did I.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Do we need to go any deeper? I'm just going to start crying.
Yeah, it's not looking good, Jimbo. The one thing that they do the worst, which is false starts, Cheffers' crew just doesn't even call it. And like you said before the show, I thought that's pretty is that really it's not like PI where it's kind of it's up for judgment. Either the guy starts early or he doesn't start early. Shouldn't that be an easy one?
Yeah, I don't understand that one. I'm just kind of frustrated by the whole thing. Also, just to add to the referee mystique, my wife and I were talking about this. Did you see the play last week where the moment in the game where Josh and the refs were like powwowing it up? Did you see this? And then they asked him about it in the presser, and he refused to get into it.
Yeah, didn't the ref come over to the sideline or something? And
yeah, and he looked like a lot of people are assuming that he apologized to Josh
for not calling a defensive holding penalty. Yeah,
some bogus crap. I
don't know if I've ever seen that before, even from an optics standpoint. That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
I don't like it. But this is the one thing that does bode well for the Ravens here. The Ravens rank number 1 for roughing the passer, primarily thanks to Nnamdi Madubuike. But Cheffers' crew ranked last in roughing the passer calls and unnecessary roughness calls.
But that said, somehow we're going to get one.
That's true. Now that we've said all that, they're definitely going to get called.
Yep.
But I mean, I guess it's some good, some bad. All I can say about the refs is I just hope that we're not talking about the refs when the game's over.
I know. I'm with you. I often think about that Rams-Saints game.
Oh my God, that PI that was just the worst.
Did you think that guy got fired?
I mean, that was the most egregious PI in history, and it wasn't called. I
would hate to run into one of those situations. You know what I mean?
Oh, that would be devastating.
Yeah. So devastating.
Yeah.
But Glenn, I just got to say this. Something just feels like it's the Ravens' year. It's got this feeling. You know what I mean? Something just feels that way, right?
I love when it feels that way. It's my favorite.
Yeah. It's funny. When my wife and I got married, I was explaining to her how the national media is never on the side of the Ravens. It's always, for some reason, been that way. We're not overly talked about and overly praised in the national media, whatever. And she's like, nah, you're just a Ravens fan. And then quickly she realized, we're just a footnote here. Doesn't matter what we do. We're just a footnote.
Yep.
Right? It's just wild to me. All right. So should we get into the competition?
Let's get into it.
All right. Before we get into the competition, of course, you guys know that we have our internal competition. So we've got to talk about how horribly I'm failing at our competition. I bet all my wins to try and catch up because you go big or you go home, and I didn't win last week. So I'm currently bankrupt, but that's okay. We're going to keep fighting and showing up for pride. So DK, let's look at the positioning of our internal competition. And then before we do, of course, if you want to compete in our show competition as a whole, submit your answers, any social media platform, or a comment in this video after it goes live. Send us a direct message, of course, in social media. And then the winner is awarded a hoodie. Hey. So Tyler's getting a hoodie, dude.
Tyler, by the way, let me just tell you something. Tyler got a little And Tyler, I'm going to out you on the show. He got bougied. He just texted me. He said unless you guys have a crew neck, gift it to somebody else. Mr. Bougie, dude. Mr.
Dude, we were gonna give him a hoodie too. He thought it was a t-shirt. Look at that.
Not interested, apparently.
Dang, bro.
I'll take that hoodie.
Yeah, give it to me.
I'll take
it.
Mine's getting a little. Mine's showing its age a little bit.
But you need the 100% one, Glenn.
I know, man. I know.
Let's go.
Well, apparently Tyler has no interest. So,
bro,
hey, Glenn. I mean, happy birthday.
We would give it to Kings of the Seas, but I don't know your address. You're out in the middle of the ocean floating somewhere on a boat. Like, where am I going to send this?
We send it by seagull?
By drone or something? Seagull. That's hilarious. I like that. All right, let's do this thing. Go ahead, DK.
Jimbo, is it cold? How is it down there? How's the weather down there?
It's not bad. Look, I can't get any worse. It's okay.
I mean, your boy, the people's champ himself, and 43 total correct prediction and 8 wins. Woo!
Yeah.
This guy.
It's looking good.
That's right. That is right.
You got to win something, right?
Didn't I win last year too or something?
Well, I mean, you got to win something. Of all the things there are to win, you got to win this.
I'll take it.
Take it.
I'll take a win this weekend from the Ravens.
There you go. I like that. All right, let's get right into it.
All right, let's get into it here.
Dude, music on music, videos on videos. I'm feeling like we're in DK's musings right now, dude. Go!
The Sea King says he's got some gold for that hoodie.
Let they cast stock, homie. Let them know you here. All my ladies that be mad high, get me off like mad lie. Shawty, let me get this clear. Okay, Baltimore the backdrop, reppin' like a mascot. I'ma let them know we here. All my ladies.
Love it. Let's go. All right, DK, let's run through these bad boys. Divisional round over-under competition is here, and an over-under number 1 is I think that's what I should be. I should just be the permanent reader of the things and no longer bet. Right? That'd be better for me. I'd probably
you can't win.
Go well. I can't win. Right? Ravens rushing long 44.5. I'm going under. So go over because then you'll win.
Let me see. What did I do? I picked over.
Over, huh?
Yeah, I think they're going to pop one, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's Lamar or Derrick Henry or even Justice Hill. I think any one of them could get a long run, and I think why not? They're small, Jimbo. You said it.
Yeah.
DK
says, what'd you say, DK? Under as well.
Yeah. Tyler wants the hoodie, by the way.
Oh, now he wants the hoodie. Over under number 2, Ravens receiving long 40.5. I went on this one. Let me remember. I went under on this. Glenn, what say you?
Yeah, I went under as well. Even though, look, I think one big play, it's either going to be a long pass or a long run. I don't think either. I went with the run. I say under on the pass, but I wouldn't be shocked if I was wrong about that one either.
DK says over. Correct, DK? DK said over.
Ravens win says too late, Tyler. Too late. Offer off the table.
Number 3, Bills rushing long, 19.5 over under. I went over here because I think Josh just maybe gets 1 20-yarder off the sideline. I don't see that as an impossibility.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, does that count?
Under. Yeah, it counts. I'm going to say under, but I can see why you went with over. Even though I was about to bash you, I'll give. That's okay. I'll allow it. DK says under as well because he's smart. He copied off my answers.
All right, let's see here. Over under number 4, Bills receiving long 50.5 yards. I'm going under on this one. Glenn?
Yeah, I'm going to go under as well. I don't think they have a guy that can threaten us deep unless, of course, it's because Josh Allen buys so much freaking time. So I'm going to say under. DK says over, though. He thinks they hit a long one on us. Hold on. I just want to point this out. Oh, no, he did go over. Okay. I was about to get you, DK. If you would have said under for all of us and over for theirs, I was going to out you. I was going to out you in front of the whole wide world. Okay? Whole wide world. Yeah, what did I say? I said under. Okay. All right, let's move into the tiebreaker, the first of the tiebreakers. And look, Jimbo, 51.5 is where he sets the over-under.
Yeah.
I thought initially, I typed it immediately. I snapped over. His two teams to score an average of 30 points a game. But then I remembered this is the number one defense in the National Football League over the last, 6-7 weeks. I don't think that changes. I think again, the Ravens pull their weight and the opponent doesn't do enough. I think the Ravens win this game 27-17, and that's what's that? Yeah, that's not enough. That's 44. That's not going to get it done. So I say under.
Dang, I'm going over because I think this game, what do I have it at? 34-27.
Bills. Yeah, that's
Ravens.
Crazy you picked the Bills to win.
Yeah, I did not pick the Bills to win. The Ravens, I am the only one on the show that has never picked the Ravens.
I think the one time you picked us to lose, we won. It was the Chiefs game that we went to.
No, Glenn, you are gaslighting. I picked the Ravens to win. You picked the Ravens to lose.
I don't
That
think
was
so.
your game, my friend.
We got to look at this again.
You don't want to you don't want to review the tape, trust me.
Receipts.
Sure. They're a mile long at this point. From my house all the way to the bank.
Look,
Let's see.
Flagship is settled debate. King Seas gets the hoodie. He settled it. Flagship settled.
I love it. Let's see. Total. We just gotta. He's gonna have to send us an axis, right? Like, what are the coordinates?
The longitude and latitude.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Total yards for the Ravens closest to the pin. Let's do it. Oh yeah. So I'm at 4. What did I type? 450, right? Or did I put 425? Yeah, 425. So I have it.
Yeah, DK is surprisingly guessing higher than you. You are not the person guessing the highest yards. She says 480. Yeah. I may have been the last one to enter, and I put 420. Just because I want to win, and I don't want you to win, Jimbo. So
that's okay. I mean,
I'm
not rooting for either of you. I'm just playing spoiler here.
That's true.
Now hold on a second, because we are able to wager.
Yeah. Well, you can only wager one.
Right, but then the next game, if I win, I could wager 2, and then I can end up with 4.
Ooh.
Why not?
You could. There's still, I guess.
All right, DK. You know what? I don't need you peeing on my parade. Okay, I don't need that right now. All right. Gosh dang it, DK. He's right. I can only wager 1 this game and 1 the next game. I can't add them up. We automatically get 1.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're only going to have 1.
I'm wagering 2. You can deal with it. That's the rules. That's the bottom line. How does it go? WWE, what does he say? Because I said so.
That's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so.
That's right. You heard it here. Anyway, there's no path for victory for me. Wager. DK's messed up, dude.
Hey, you know what? In solidarity, Jimbo, I matched your wager. In solidarity.
Is that what it was?
That's all it was. That's the only reason. There was no strategy behind it whatsoever.
Now, hold on a second, though. If I'm wagering 1 right now, wouldn't that mean that I get 2 I get 1 in return if I win? Because I'm wagering
really
1.
Not wagering anything.
I'm wagering 1.
You ain't wagering nothing. You're hoping to earn 1 that you can wager.
It's my participant chip. I need a chip to participate.
This is like an untimed down, Jimbo. This is like when there's zeros on the clock, but there was a penalty. So we got to play 1 untimed. You get 1 untimed.
Look, if you're going to play poker, if you're going to play Jeopardy, you need the money. You need the dollars. Wow. So I get $1 to participate. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Go forth and multiply, dollar.
DK, if you want to give Jimmy 2 wins, if he wins this week, we'll consider it. We'll put it on the board. We'll ask the board, which consists of just DK. So you better hope he's feeling generous. DK wagers 2 wins. So if DK were to win, he would take over the lead. If I were to lose, of course. If I win, I only extend my lead.
Let's just hope, Glenn, that this is not our last week.
Would we be tied, or would I go down? How many wins? I have 8. I'll go down to 7, and you'll get 2. So yeah, you'll pass me, right? Yeah.
Let's just hope this isn't our last week.
No.
Let's root for that. That this isn't.
Well, the only way, I don't think there's any. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. This ain't gonna be the last week. We're coming out of Buffalo with a dub, and we're going to Arrowhead. Let's be honest.
Let's go. I love it. All right, folks, that's it for us. We had an extra long show tonight, but it is, of course, the divisional matchup. So that's it for us. We'll be here right after the game. after the Ravens win, lose, or draw, but they will win as we predicted here on the show. That's it. Enjoy the game. We'll be back on Sunday night.
See you.